Hello, today is Saturday, March 21st, 2026, and this is episode number 166. You can see related links at the link on the screen there, which is augforums.com/episode 166. Just me today, but I thought I'd do a episode on something I built last weekend. I thought it'd be appropriate to do it also on a weekend because that's a big theme to the episode today. I just thought it was really cool that I was able to build something on a weekend. So that's why I'm broadcasting on a weekend. Now, if you're a developer, I don't think you're going to find this that interesting because you've probably been using AI for a while and you know how to do way more interesting things than this. So I thought I'd I thought I'd get out of the way what it was or what it is that we're going to look through here on the technical side. But that's not the main point today. The main point is how I was able to build something, not really the end result. I think the end result's pretty cool, but again, for you developers out there, you're probably not going to be that amazed by this. So let me get that part out of the way. The end result of this is just a Python script that acts as a Discord bot for a Discord server, and it sends one time a day a reminder chat message in a direct message. That's all it does. So it doesn't even listen. That'll be a next step that I'd like to work on. Just sends a scheduled reminder. But the fact that I was able to hook up a Discord bot to do all this was neat to me. I enjoyed it. So that's it. That's going to be the end result technically. But really what I wanted to focus on today was the how it came about. So the fact that it came about on a weekend and also that it came about in about an hour. Only took me an hour or so to do it. And so I just wanted to walk through the technique that I used. And I think it's very relevant to the Acumatica space because now that we have the AI assistant in Acumatica 2026 R1, which I believe just dropped this week. I don't have access to it because I don't have a license in my test environment that allows me to use it yet. But as far as I understand it, it is there. I'm going to pull that up in a minute and show why I think it is there. But I think that's why this is relevant. So learning, all of us starting to learn how to work with AI to build things. And I personally have been I'll call it an AI curmudgeon for the last few years. Ever since ChatGPT came out, I wasn't really that enthusiastic about it. I used it to create some images, but I haven't used it to manage my emails yet. I don't know, maybe I will at some point. I'm still very not wanting to use it to write emails. I know I'm real late to the party on that, but I have reasons why. And so I've just kind of been not that enthusiastic about it. But in January of this year, just a few months ago, or a couple months ago, it's only March, I finally jumped on the AI train. And the reason why is I got a message from a friend who had set up this thing called OpenClaw, which completely blew up, like made a lot of news headlines in January. Basically, it's giving AI arms and legs to do things. And so everyone's really big into AI agents right now. ChatGPT and Claude are going head to head. That's OpenAI and Anthropic, the company names. They're going head to head, just duking it out over who can get there the fastest with these things. So that's like the the bleeding edge of what's going on with AI is that it's all about agents right now. So, but I'm still playing catch up. So I'm drinking from the fire hose, trying to catch up from the last couple of years now that I'm finally on board with it. And so, this example is probably something you could have done a couple of years ago. Maybe, I don't know for sure, but still interesting to me. And I think even though AI has made a lot of headlines last few years, my guess would be that most people haven't dealt with it extensively, other than, maybe using ChatGPT as your new Google search. And so that's why I wanted to do this, just kind of walk through this little project that I did that was really helpful to me. And it's now a technique that I'm using in other places. So I did this last weekend, and then this past week, I've already built several things using this exact same technique. And even though this is a hobby example that I'm going to walk through, the stuff I built this week is definitely work stuff that I didn't have time to do the stuff that now these scripts are doing for me. So I like the technique, and so far it's the technique I'm using. There's probably better techniques out there because AI is moving so fast, but this is just the one I'm using. And I've been following this guy. I will drop this link on here. Let me get my links queued up. My reminder here. I will drop a link to a YouTube channel that I've been following. It's a guy named Nate B. Jones. So I'll drop that on the link. And he's been putting out almost daily videos on AI, just kind of riding the wave of doing his best to keep up with everything that's happening. But he's just very good at distilling things and very good at, I just call it AI thought leadership. So I even paid $200 for an annual subscription to his Substack, which is basically kind of like a private blog. It also has a chat forum in there, and it's got like more than just the video. It's got all this written content and examples that he's got out there. So that's basically been my main way that I'm drinking from the fire hose, and I can't keep up with it. But I like, just some of the points he makes and why I like him. He's very insightful. He's just made the point, look, none of us are really keeping up with it. And really the best way is just to have fun with it and stay curious, be curious about it. Use AI to learn AI. And I've been doing that. Like I'll just have a chat with ChatGPT to ask about how it does things. What would you prefer in this situation? What should I give? What kind of information format should I give you? What would be best for you? And so, yeah, staying curious and using AI to learn AI, some of the things I picked up from him. Also, he's talked a lot about this OpenClaw thing that happened in January. And the founder of that, I'll put an interview. Let's see. I can never remember how to say his last name. Let me Google it real quick. Peter Steinberger. So Peter Steinberger is the guy who created OpenClaw. And there's a 3-hour interview that he did on a podcast. I will put that link on the related links as well, augforums.com/episode 166. Because he also just makes a lot of really insightful points about how to work with AI. And he also uses this point that Nate has made, which is just to have fun with it. And because it's so easy to get stressed out when you're trying to keep up with everything that's going on, and it's just so overwhelming. But if you just kind of take a step back, relax, and just use it as a play time instead of work time, I think that really changed your mindset. And that's been the approach that I mostly have. There are definitely days where I'm just like, oh, this is so much, I can't take it. But for the most part, I've just treated it as a hobby, and that's what this example is that I'm going to walk through. So before we get to the ChatGPT example, I'm going to pull up the Acumatica side of things. So let me share my screen here. Oh, we got Cadence on here. Let's see. What are some valuable use cases you can think of for how OpenClaw and agents can be used with Acumatica type work? I'm still struggling with the same thing, Caden. And actually, you know what I'll do? Since this is a Saturday and I wasn't expecting anyone to be live, I'll just throw the StreamYard link into the chat if you want to jump on, Caden, and chat about this stuff. This is probably going to be a longer broadcast. Like I'm just hanging out on a Saturday. So we could chat first, and then I'll push like the stuff I was going to show till later. If you want to jump on, I'm posting this. Let me know if you can see this. I'm dropping it in the LinkedIn chat, and give me a second to pull this up. Yeah, so see if you see that there. If you want to jump on and just chat about if we can come up with use cases together. I think I'm definitely still hunting for use cases, real solid ones. And, I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. They're also like, this is a pretty technical person I was talking to, and actually it was 2 days ago, and their idea for how they'll use AI is a pretty complicated example, and they haven't got there yet, like how they'll use it in their organization. And they're still kind of, in my opinion, waiting on the sidelines. And that's where I like this idea of just kind of jumping in as a hobby and tinkering with stuff, because if you're waiting to see that huge AI breakthrough at work, I think you're kind of missing out. And that's where this Discord bot thing that I'm using, it's just a hobby example. It's to send my nephew a reminder to do some hand strengthening exercises on a nightly basis. That's it. It's like, I mean, you could do the same thing with an alarm on your phone, right? So this is not an amazing use case, but I'm getting comfortable with how the whole thing works. And I think at work, gut feel on this, I'm not a leading AI authority at all, but my gut feel on work use cases for AI is I would start small. Like I'd rather go end to end on something and have someone experience that, hey, this chat way of doing it actually is better than the other way. If you get that win, then you kind of go from there. That's my take on it, rather than trying to take that super complicated thing and using AI to make it better. I just think you're swinging for the fences, and you easily strike out, and then you lose momentum. Like, it's like no one then cares after that about AI in your organization. And I feel like it's similar to implementing Acumatica. Like it's always been my preference when you're talking about implementing Acumatica at a company to define your phase one very narrowly. Like really all we need to do to get Acumatica live is get you off of your old system. That's phase one. Then we could do phase two just a month later. We don't have to wait 6 months. But I want you to get live on something simple, because once you do that, you're in a much better position to understand how Acumatica works, what it does well, what it doesn't do well. And then you do phase two, phase three, etc. And I don't know, I think that somehow implementing AI in your organization, to me, it's a similar thought. Like, go for that small win, go for something that really makes sense to do a chat. And I'm talking specifically about a chat bot. Since Caden brought up OpenClaw and agents. So I'm calling my Discord thing is just a chat bot. It's not really even an agent, because it's not smart. It's just a text interface basically, right? But agents can get way more involved in that, like really do real work independently. So this is where I'm lagging and catching up on this. Yeah, the real thing Caden's talking about there with OpenClaw and agents, I mean, that's like you hand AI a task to do, and it goes off and works on it for hours. I'm not even there yet. I'm still catching up. So my Discord example, my next step with this will be to actually be able to reply to the bot and have it give me something, so very it's thinking for seconds. It's not thinking for hours like the OpenClaw stuff. So again, I'm playing catch up. So I'm even just looking for use cases for that, for having more of chat workflows. Where do they make sense? And there was some, I did want to mention, if you don't know what Discord is, I mentioned that a few times. Discord is basically just a hobby version of Microsoft Teams or Slack. Like Trailed, we use Slack, and a lot of companies use Teams. Discord just like that. It's just a kind of a hobby version for that. It's also nice because they don't price it per user. So I did, and I'll show this today. I fired up ogforums.com Discord server. Got about 30 people in there so far, and it's been a good experience. I like it. So just think Teams or Slack, but a hobby version of that. And so this is just like having a bot machine with their own avatar and everything that you can communicate with, but then it can do stuff for you. So instead of having the typical graphical interface that you're used to with an application, the idea is a chat interface in this example. And so, so feel free to jump on, Caden, if you want to chat about stuff, but I will pull up now the Acumatica side of things. So this is why I think this is relevant and why I just wanted to get this recorded. This was a last weekend project, and it's like, hey, I want to get this recorded before I move on to other things. But this is Acumatica 2026 R1. And this is the official version that just released. I think it was this week. I'll check that in a second. There's the build number for you, 26100-0175. And if we pull up the builds website, you can see here that it's the only release out there this is in the official folder, so it's no longer in the preview folder, 26.1. And what's the date? That's what I want to check here. 3/19, yeah, just 2 days ago. So this just released this week. And if you look in, so here's the version, and then if you look in the release notes, let me pull that up. So here's also in that same folder on the builds website, this is the official release notes. If you come down here, it does mention the AI assistant. So it's not just the AI Studio. AI Studio is how you would hook up like an import scenario and have AI do something on the back end. The assistant is doing something on the front end. So I don't even know if it shows a screenshot on here. Let's see. There we go. So it's this thing right here. It's this assistant where we've seen this demoed the last couple of summits, but now it's actually in 2026 R1. And I think what it does right now is probably pretty simple, but it's there at least. List the 10 most recent open invoices. What is last year's total revenue? Give me the top 3 customers by total invoice amount. And what this mainly talks about in the release notes is how you feed information to the assistant. So you can ask questions in everyday language. You can drill down into records. You can create dashboards and pivots right from the chat window. And if we come down here, this part is all about how you give the AI assistant information to work with. And it looks like the way they're doing it now, at least for this initial launch, is just through generic inquiries. And you can see that so even though I don't have, there's like a little chat button up here that you would have. I don't have it in a demo environment. That's because you have to be licensed for it. Because when you involve a large language model, there's a cost there. So they're not just making that available to any test environment. But if we come in here, you'll see it. I even enabled it. It's called AI Assistant, but it still doesn't show up even if I check it off in my test environment. But what does show up, so I don't get the little button up here in the upper right, but what does show up is on the generic inquiry screen, you can see the new fields that are talked about in the release notes. Let me get that pulled up. While that's pulling up, see anything else in here? Yeah, so I'll show this in the application, but there's this new box, expose to AI assistant. Very similar idea to expose via OData. You decide generic inquiry by generic inquiry, which ones will be available to the AI assistant. And then here's the real trick, and I'm still learning this, how to do this. It's how to give AI what AI people, and I don't consider myself an AI person yet, but what AI people call context. So the idea is, how does the AI assistant know when to go out and reach for this particular generic inquiry? So there's a new AI description tab here, and you can see this is where you teach the AI. This is a list of stock items that contains the following data: an inventory ID, a short description, the type, posting class, etc. And you see how they listed it here. It's a first sentence, a colon, and then lines that start with dashes. And this is something I've been learning, that people are finding that the AI likes what's called a markdown format. So people will create these .md files, which is an extension for markdown. There's nothing really that special about them. I don't think it's that sophisticated at all, but markdown is kind of like a simpler version of HTML, much simpler version. And you can see this is a markdown style file. It's real simple. It's got some dashes, and you know what? Let's pull up some markdown examples. Let's see. Makes sense that Zapier would have a good blog post on this, because Zapier is an automation platform that's been doing a lot with AI. All right, so here's an example right here. So you would just type, you could put, actually, I don't even know if is this correct format? I guess star makes the text bold. I didn't remember that star makes it italicized. But you can see it's like a way to do formatting without having any graphical piece. So it's not like you go into a Word document and you highlight something and you mark it bold. You just type star, and then at the end, star again, and then anything in between is considered bold text. So we can find some other examples. Oh, I guess, yeah, I don't even realize that. So italics is done that way. Bold is 2 stars. Bold and italics is 3 stars. Now, here's an example of something I've been learning AI by using AI. So I don't know if this is considered correct by the community, but I've asked ChatGPT, do you even care about this stuff in markdown files? And it's like, not really. This stuff isn't even that important. You can also do hyperlinks, so that's helpful to the AI. And so this is like in HTML, it'd be href. It's a little uglier looking style to do a hyperlink. This is simpler. So here's the text of the link, and then in parentheses is the link itself. Images, block quotes. But when I asked that ChatGPT, you can see it's not that crazy. All the markdown examples here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different things that you can do in markdown. But when I was asking ChatGPT what it really cares about out of these 14 things, its response is that it mainly cares about headings and these types of lists. So unordered lists, which are bullet points; numbered lists, which are numbered bullet points; and then also nested lists. So basically, that's the main things that are meaningful to it. And so it's the ability to give it some type of structure to the text that you're feeding it. So heading tells us this is a main section, this is a subsection, this is a subsection, and then bulleted lists with, you can even do like an outline format. That's the main thing that it likes. And so anyways, I bring that up because you can see that example in the release notes here, where they've given it a bullet list of points that are underneath this explanation here, and the AI likes that for some reason. So that's called a markdown format. So you can, but it's like, this is just this big blank field, and it's scary. It's like, what do I really put in there, you know? And another thing I learned just from chatting with ChatGPT, this is actually a great example of it. It doesn't really prefer really long, flowy sentences like us humans might use to describe something. You can see these are real short, choppy sentences. So one sentence, a colon, a bullet point, a bullet point, a bullet point. And what I've been trying to get myself to do, and I'm not really good at it yet, but I'm trying to get myself to basically don't use periods. Because as soon as you're using a period or even a comma, now you're getting into a long, flowy description. And so forcing myself, these should all be just single sentences without punctuation, and then you get to a bullet point or a heading or something like that. So that seems to be what the AI likes, and this is actually just a really good example of that. This is Markdown format. So now that let me flip over, I'll show it to you for real in the real world, not a screenshot out of the release notes. Let's pull up a generic inquiry here. Sorry, my environment's still spinning up. All right, perfect. Here's an example. So that first thing we looked at is now, I forget when they did this, but there's not a bunch of options on the top like there used to be. I like that. They cleaned it up. They moved most of it down to interface options. So here's that checkbox. You can expose the GI to the AI assistant. Then here's that AI description field. So it's just a blank canvas. So let's see that stock item ones. Let's see if that is actually out of the box AI description. IN stock item. Give that a minute to load. Oh, yep, looks like it's not there out of the box, which I guess makes sense. They're probably starting off. Yeah, none of these are exposed natively. This thing's brand new, just launching. But yeah, what exactly you put in this AI description field, I think, is something that we're all going to have to learn together. And when I eventually get to the Discord example, that's a key piece of why I wanted to show what I built, because it has to do with this scary empty canvas here and how to get there in a non-scary way. So there's that field. Then I also want to point out, I think they added on a few things. Oh, I guess not parameters. I thought, oh yeah, they did. So there's a description for AI column on parameters. So it could know when it needs to fill out a parameter when calling a generic inquiry. I don't think there's anything on conditions, because that's just backend stuff. Yeah, that's not really an interface field. Yeah, this is all backend stuff. But then on results grid, so each individual field that's in the generic inquiry, you also get to give a description for AI on the field. So it's on the parameters, on the fields, and on the generic inquiry itself. And all three places, it's this same blank canvas, what do I put there problem that we're all going to have to figure out. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so there it is on results grid. And oh, I didn't remember this part. It looks like you then process, so the AI picks up. You have to run a processing screen, so it goes out and teaches itself about all your generic inquiries. And what else? Yeah, and then you can ask your questions in the AI assistant. Let's see if we get any interesting. Yeah, there's a table example in here. You can create charts. We've seen those demos. I'm still curious, when it creates a dashboard chart, how or if you can just add it to a dashboard and have it constantly live on the dashboard. I don't know if you can do that yet. It's probably written in these release notes. I haven't read the whole thing. Let's see, can you? Get back. Looking for like an add to dashboard button. I don't see it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out. And then it looks like there's also in the license monitoring console screen, which makes sense. There's a thing for maximum number of AI assistant tokens per month. Now, I say makes sense. Makes sense in that it's being tracked. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to this. I have a bad feeling that Acumatica is going to charge just for the privilege of using AI inside of Acumatica. Personally, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you should just pay the cost of your own LLM. But, you know, we're dealing with an ERP publisher, and when it comes to pricing, things don't necessarily make logical sense. But the way I interpret this is the number of AI assistant tokens per month. So you get 10,000 in this case tokens per month. And what is a token? So actually, here's a good, let's ask Gemini this, Google's Gemini. What is a token in AI? So I don't understand it fully. I don't know that there's that many people who really do. I guess there's some videos you can look out. But it's the way AI stores information. My simple brain, this is how I look at it. One token is roughly 0.75 words. So if I were to feed, let's see, my favorite book is Adventures of Tom Sawyer. How many words are in Tom Sawyer? 57,500 words in the book. And so since there's 0.75 words in a token, if I were to feed the entire Tom Sawyer book into AI, how many tokens would I burn? So it'd be 4/3, right? Uh-oh. Doing math on a live broadcast is scary. Let me try it this way. So words times 0.75 equals tokens. Is that right? Okay, I can't do math on a live broadcast, but I think that's right. So we would take 57,500 times 0.75. In that case, if we fed the entire novel into ChatGPT, now that would be for context reasons. This is where markdown files come into play. Hey, I want you to look at this huge chunk of text, and then I'm going to ask you questions about it. So, you know, I might ask you how many times Tom Sawyer does something. So I need to feed it the novel for context. So I'd be burning 43,000 tokens. And if I'm in this Acumatica environment, I only have 10,000 tokens available to me for the month. So I wouldn't be able to load in the Tom Sawyer novel in this case. That's where tokens matter. It's all about tokens, and that's essentially the billing unit for AI models. That's how you're getting charged for these AI models. So there's some restriction out. Here's where I just don't think it makes sense to put a restriction on that. I think I should be able to bring my own LLM, and I'll pay for the LLM. I don't know why Acumatica is getting in the middle of there. Well, I do know why. It's because they're looking to make money off this. And I have a thought about where I think things might actually go with AI assistance in Acumatica, but maybe I'll bring that up later. So this is why I think my Discord example from last weekend is relevant. It's because of this new AI assistant in 2026 R1. And again, it all comes down to, in my opinion, learning what we put in these blank fields, both at the generic inquiry level, at the parameter level. That was down here. I guess let me move it up. Both at the parameter level right here and at the results grid level right here. What do we put there? Excuse me. So those, let me just mute my mic for a second, clear my throat a little bit more. All right, so that's all about giving the AI context, and it's so that the AI can do something for you. So if I'm in that AI assistant in Acumatica and I want it to do something, it needs to have context, needs to know where to go to pull certain information. That's really the same challenge. I'm going to shift gears now. Let's finally look at the Discord thing that I did last weekend, because that's exactly basically what I did. I was understanding what to give AI in order to get AI to do something for me. So what did I want AI to do for me? I wanted AI to create a Discord bot Just think of it as a user in a chat system. And here's the end result. Let me show you the end result. So let me get that pulled up 1 second here. Okay. This is what Discord looks like. And let me give you a quick tour in case you don't know what Discord is. So a Discord is, again, it's just like Slack or Teams, different user interface. And you have over here, I don't even remember what you call these. I think you call these servers. And I don't know why they call them servers. Like in Teams, I don't remember if it's called workspace or tenant. Slack, I don't remember what it's called. For the most part, at work, you're dealing with one equivalent of a Discord server. It's one community, workspace, tenant, whatever word you're supposed to use for it. And that's where like everyone from your company will be in that space. And then within there, you can have, I think they're called channels in Slack and Teams as well. They're definitely called channels in Discord. So basically, here's where the different topics are. So here's the augforums.com Discord server that we recently created. We got about, let's see how many people we got in here so far. Got about 35 people so far, including the Discord bot that I created last weekend. We'll look at that in a second. But you can see we have the different channels, and then you just have communication in those channels. And you can also do, like if you reply to something, you can hit either reply. If I do that, like it'll quote the text that I was replying to. Let me see if I can find one from earlier. Yeah, right here. So see this little thing? So Will put something in here, and he's replying to Michael. And it gives us a first line of what he's replying to, but I could click on this. I guess click on this. Yeah, and it takes me back up to the specific message that he's replying to. But if you notice, it's keeping it all flat. And if I remember Teams correctly, I'm using Slack mostly at work now. Teams is very flat, like everything's just happening in one space. Slack is better at handling what are called threads. So that's one way to do it. You just quote someone, but it still stays in this one column. But let me see if I can do an example of this. Let's see. If I right click, instead of doing reply, I can create a thread. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. I should pick a less contentious message to reply to. Let's see. Let's see. That should be it. Give me a second to pick a decent example here. Yeah, okay, here's a good example. So this is a regular reply. He's replying to Neil, and it just happens to be the message above it. But as you can see, it isn't necessarily. So that's where you can click on it, and it takes you up to the message that you were replying to. But you could also do create thread. If you do that, then it actually shows up on the side. So I could reply here. I'll say something like, which is fine for new stuff, but a pain when you're doing updates, right? And so you can see that it now kind of gives an indication there's a thread under here. And so now this shows up on the right-hand side. And Slack does this a lot more, where like if you're, it's very good at threaded conversations, which are nice because you can have all these like conversations off to the side of a main chat. And I don't think, if I remember rightly, Teams doesn't even do that. But if you look here, like down the bottom, that new message that I added doesn't show up on the bottom. It just shows up on the right in a thread. But what, at least so far, what we've discovered in this Aug Forums one, people tend to like this just one big block of messages in the middle. And I don't know, we'll see if when it gets noisier, we'll probably wind up with more threads, but that's kind of the fun of community. You just sort of figure it out as you go. But that's this whole thing. This ogforums.com is a Discord server. Again, I don't really like the name server, but that's what it's called. And then here, I'm also in the Acumatica dev community. So this is another Discord server. And you got some stuff going on there. You got channels as well. And that's how that works. But then in addition to that, you have direct messages. And actually, here's the direct message I wanted to show you. So this is the end result of the Discord bot that I built. And you can see what's happening is I went with a cowboy theme here. So I just had AI create an avatar. Here's instead of a real person. So like there's a message from Arlene. This is cowboy-grip. That's the name of this bot / person, not a real person. That's who's sending the messages. It's got a little bio, just like the regular user would, and it can send me messages. So you can see it's sending me a message every day at 7 o'clock, and it's giving me a little bit different message every time. And when I get into the details on this, this isn't anything fancy. There's no generative AI here. This is just randomly picking from a list of 35 messages every night and sending me that message. But the cool part to me is that it actually works. Like we've actually got a Discord bot sending messages in a real Discord server. And you do have to attach it to an actual server for reasons I guess it can't just live generally in Discord. It's got to live in a specific server. So I tested it out on the Og Forum server, which is why you can see there's Cowboy Grip has joined the server. But then it's not really, it doesn't feel like it's sending me a message in the server. It's sending me a direct message, just like any user would. So that's the end result. And again, this is just a hobby example for my nephew to be reminded to do his grip exercises on a nightly basis. He plays a lot of video games, so he's living on Discord a lot. And that's why I thought it'd be cool to just kind of send him a message there in his Discord world. So that's the end result. Now let's get to what I did last weekend. And so to me, this is really the cool part of it. The cool part of it is not what I built. The cool part is how I built it. Clear my throat again. The downside of a morning broadcast. So last weekend, Saturday morning, I was just doing some chores, working with my hands. And I remembered that I already had this idea. It would be neat to be able to send a message, a scheduled message on a daily basis to my nephew to remind him to do his hand exercises, grip exercises. And I thought Discord would be a great way to do it because he lives on Discord a lot. And I had no idea how to do it. Don't even know what a Discord bot is. No, nothing. So what I did is as I'm doing my chores, I pulled up ChatGPT on my phone. Now I knew going into this what my overall idea was for it or how to execute it, but I had never done this before. But here's the overall idea, and I picked this up from Nate B. Jones. You'll have that link to his YouTube channel on the episode page. The idea, and don't know if this is like best practice currently, but it went well for me, and it's currently going to be my way of doing things until I hear otherwise. The idea was have a chat with ChatGPT to build the what's the right word for it? I'll just say instructions. To build the instructions for what you want to do. And then paste those instructions in the Claude, a different AI, to actually have it build the thing that you're working on. The reason for this, at least at the time of the video that I watched, and I'm lagging behind on Nate's videos, but at least at the time, and I think it's still the case, is that everyone's kind of discovering right now what these different large language models are good at and what they're not good at. And there's not going to be one winner here, I don't think. I think it's going to be very similar to any other industry where you have multiple players who are good at different things. And that's what everyone's figuring out right now because it's moving so fast. But in general right now, it seems like, and I'm probably going to get skewered for this if anyone watches this, but it seems like ChatGPT is good at being more philosophical and creative. Like it's good at creating images, for example. It also makes stuff up more frequently. So it's kind of more like the artistic AI in what I'm gathering so far. Whereas Claude, so ChatGPT is made by OpenAI, Claude is made by Anthropic. Claude is more like a doer, like the engineer, the one that's good at executing something. And so the idea is you could have this same conversation in Claude, and maybe like by next week, someone's like, this is the way you're supposed to do it in Claude. And some people might just use Claude the whole time. But I decided to just get a subscription to both. So it's about $20 a month each, one for ChatGPT, one for Claude, so about $40 a month. And I use this technique again for the first time last weekend, but then a few times this week, where I have a chat with ChatGPT about what I want to build, more in the philosophical realm. But I tell it up front, I want you to then give me the instructions that I can paste into Claude to have Claude actually do it. And there's some really interesting things that came out of that last weekend. But so that this is kind of like the free form, artistic, blank canvas conversation. Then the end result of that, I go paste into Claude, and then Claude actually does it. In this case, builds a Python script that I then uploaded to my ogforums.com hosting website provider, and the thing executes in that hosting environment. So let's walk through it. This is going to be just walking through the text of what happened in ChatGPT and Claude. And again, the coolest part was that I'm having this chat with ChatGPT just as I'm doing chores on a Saturday morning. So I'm not like, I think what was liberating to me about it is for us computer people, we're stuck so much of our time just sitting in front of a laptop screen, right? Like I'm doing right now. And it eventually starts to feel like you're handcuffed to the desk, right? I actually built an app. The other crazy thing is it only took me about an hour end to end to do the whole thing. But it wasn't just about the speed. It was more than that. I think a lot of people are focused on the speed right now. AI can build things so much faster. It wasn't that. It was more that I did this while I was working with my hands doing something else. And I wasn't handcuffed to the desk. That for me was the coolest part about the experience. And so let me pull up ChatGPT here. And so I'm just going to scroll through the conversation that I had, just so it's captured. If anyone cares about any of the details, they can. But I'm just going to basically relive the experience that I had last weekend in a more summarized format. But I will scroll through everything. See, can I make this larger? I don't know if I can. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, the other cool thing about this, and I picked this up from the Peter Steinberger guy, that 3-hour interview with him. He's the OpenClaw creator. That'll be on the episode page. But I picked this up from him that rather than type into the computer, dictate. Now, this has been a journey I've been on for years, probably at least a couple years, learning to speak my thoughts instead of type my thoughts. I don't know that I'm good at it at this point, but I'm at least comfortable with it. Way more comfortable than I was a couple years ago. It's not an easy skill, at least not for an introvert like me. So I'll just say that yeah, we got all this cool AI technology. The tech can do it. But in my experience, at least, I had to retrain my brain to be able to do this. And I'd say I'm still retraining my brain. But point is, everything you see here, when it's a message on the right, something that I sent to ChatGPT, I did this with voice dictation. I did not get out my phone and type it on my phone. And I've been having a really good experience with this. And specifically, I'll pull this up just to show you. I will put this in the related links on the episode page as well. But this ogforums.com/whisper, you can try this out. You can get a month free and also give me a month free. I think it's cool how they set this up with this link right here. But it's an app that, what I love about it is it works on both your desktop computer and on your phone. So you get the same voice dictation experience in both places. And for me, I've gotten to the point where I'm trusting Whisper now. Like I'll go back and make some corrections to it, but especially when I'm feeding it to ChatGPT, which doesn't need super precise punctuation and things like that, I just dictate and then hit send. I don't even read it anymore. So I've gotten to the point where I really trust Whisper to capture what I dictated really well. And one thing I really like about it is it does also put in the punctuation. So I can just, like this whole thing right here, this was me dictating the whole thing. So I'll just read it to you. This was the experience I had last Saturday morning. I want to have Claude build me a bot for a Discord server that sends a simple message at the same time every day to remind someone to do something. It doesn't have to be fancy. Everything can be hard-coded into the source code of the bot, including the message and the time of day. Can you help me to build the spec for Claude to work on? I just dictated that into my phone, and you can see Whisper app that I used automatically put in the periods, put in the question mark at the end. It just does a great job of formatting your voice into text, including punctuation. So that's it. I just talked to my phone, gave that the information. I'll put this Whisper link in the related links. Whisper voice dictation app. So I send that over to ChatGPT. Let's go through the conversation. This is very ChatGPT. So I also want to call out just some, look, this is a machine, all right? This is not a person. But these large language models, they each do kind of have different, I don't like using the word personality. We need to come up with a better word because they're not people, but a different flavor or something. Yeah. So ChatGPT is very enthusiastic. It's like, yeah, of course we can do this. Like it's very, think of the creative, optimistic type rather than the see all the things that could go wrong engineer. That's more Claude. But anyways, it's like, yes, we can do it. And I'm going to call this out later as well. One reason why I like this technique is you're using AI to build AI. And so I think that makes it stronger, just for the same reason that a team of people with different perspectives makes the end product stronger. You know, two heads are better than one, getting two eyes on things. I like this technique of using ChatGPT to then hand off to Claude because you're getting, I think, the end result stronger. But I love this. It's all by telling it, I want you to build something for Claude. I sort of challenged it, and I love the response. The best way to do this is to give Claude a tight implementation spec with very little room for interpretation. It's like, I want control over the artistic part of this. I think that's hilarious. Then for a bot this simple, I'd recommend Python plus discord.py. That's a Python library. So I am using, actually, I didn't even notice this. I didn't remember this. I thought I told it Python going into it. It selected Python for me. And in general, the Python language is a language that AI in general is really good at writing. Like it's really good at writing code, and it's really, really good at writing Python code specifically. And I think the reason why is it's just a really popular language. And so when large language models basically stole the internet a few years ago, and the largest, in my opinion, the largest intellectual property theft in human history, when they just grabbed all that information. There was a ton of stuff about Python. I think that's why it's really good with Python. And the thing that's so popular about Python is there's a bunch of libraries out there, so you don't have to build things from scratch. And here's an example of one, discord.py. All right, and so what I think was interesting is, I think this is part of the enthusiasm of ChatGPT. I'm just asking, can you even do it? It gives me a real short response, and then boom, goes right into building the spec. Now, if you look at the spec, this essentially is Markdown. This is a heading. This is a bullet point list. So you can see it's creating the spec for Claude in Markdown format for you. So I don't have to deal with that. And that's what's cool about this approach. It is interesting that even though ChatGPT told me it doesn't really care about bold text, this is bold text right here. So that's kind of interesting. Again, using AI to learn AI, just kind of learning by doing and having fun while doing it. But since I wasn't ready for the spec, I'm like, ChatGPT, you're being way too eager here. So I just scrolled past this. Like, you don't have what you need yet. So let's scroll down to my next message. All right, so then again, voice dictating. And so, I'm doing chores here. So I'm thinking about this while I'm doing chores, which is for me walking, any kind of movement for me is good thinking time for me. And so like I dictated that, didn't even look at the response, just start thinking about more details about what I want to build. Then I go back and I read the response and then I think about it some more. And then I voice dictate again. This is all happening in the ChatGPT app on my phone. So here's my voice dictated response. Sorry, before we jump into the spec, I thought you might have some general questions for me. One thing I thought of is that I wanted you to know that this should be a private bot, not one that people could consume publicly, and it would be something that I would host. So I wasn't really sure public, like I wasn't sure if there was a bot store where you publish things to. I don't know how this works. And so right off the bat, it's like, yes, that changes it. And I didn't really read. I've skimmed through its responses because its responses are so long. I did not read all of its responses. Yeah, what even happened here? Yeah, basically, I'm like, okay, now it understands that. That's all I was thinking about. Let's see, anything? Yeah, I might have looked at this stuff. Don't remember exactly what I looked at. Main point is like when I'm having this chat with a bot, it's not like having a conversation with the person in that you're really having a lot of short exchanges and you're really paying attention to every word. It's a lot more similar to this monologue marathon podcast episode that I'm doing. It's just a big monologue that the bot gives back to you. And so you just sort of skim through it and you look for the stuff you care about. But let's see, let me see, did I ask? I guess it came up with some questions for me. And this, I didn't remember that it did it this early. But this is a big thing I like about this approach of using ChatGPT to build the spec, Claude to actually work on it. And it has to do with this context thing. So if we come back to Acumatica, you can see that, I'm sorry, here. We come back to that 10,000 tokens per month. That's like a super low limit, and that's per month. But there's also a limit of what a large language model can handle just in an individual chat. So as I understand it currently, when you go chat with an AI, you sit down, you open up that new chat window, and for the most part, I mean, there's ways you can have like, you can teach it to always do certain things whenever you open up a new chat window. But for the most part, I think of it as just a brand new session, and anything you've ever done with it before, it doesn't know about. in general. That's not completely true, but I think it's a good way to think about it. So there's this huge AI brain that comes to the conversation, but it doesn't have any memory of what you've talked about before. And so in that conversation, that's the context. That's the AI word for it. The context is that conversation itself, that chat window. Why that matters is as you're chatting with the AI, it can only hold so many tokens, which is basically words. 3/4 of a word is a token on average. It can only hold so much in its memory during that chat window. And so what people have found is that the longer you're chatting with it, the more it starts to hallucinate and make stuff up because it can only hold so much in its memory. So what I like about this approach is that you're breaking it apart. You're having like the same conversation that you would have with a functional consultant to build a spec, and then a different AI to actually work on the spec and write the code. What that does is instead of having one huge chat to build the spec and write the code, which eats up more of its memory and makes it more likely for it to start forgetting stuff, you break that up and you isolate those two tasks. I also like it because this is the same experience that I've had for years in the real world working with a development team. Like, I don't sit down with a developer and just start talking directly and they start writing code. You first build a spec. And if you've ever worked with your VAR or independent development shop, you're likely never talking to a developer. You're talking to more of a functional person and building the spec with them. And then behind the scenes, they go hand it off to the developer. It's sort of similar to me, like in a restaurant. You don't walk into the back of the kitchen and place your order there. You place the order with your server. The server goes interfaces with the kitchen and then brings back the result. So it's a similar idea here. So with ChatGPT, this is the functional conversation, and then Claude is going to actually build it. And so where I'm going with all that is you can see ChatGPT starting to ask me some more detailed questions. Now that I push back, I'm like, hey, I'm not ready to build the spec yet. It's now starting to think about, okay, what are some other things that I care to know about what you're trying to do here? And it's asking me some questions. So I skim through those and then I start responding. So I want this to be, instead of a message in a channel, I want it to be a direct message. And then one question I thought of as I was thinking about that, do we have to hard code in the name of the user, or will there be some way to take the bot once it's built and add it into a direct message for any user? When should it send it? It should send the reminder every day of the week at 9:00 p.m. Which time zone it had asked? I said Pacific time for California. Let's see. It should always be 9 p.m. local time, in this case, San Diego in California. It came up with a good scenario. What happens if the Python script can't trigger at that certain time? What should happen? Should there be some fallback option? And so I'm asking, I basically said skipping the message is fine. It doesn't need to have error handling or anything like that. I'm using a site called, it's actually hosting.com now. That's how I host my ogforums.com website. And this is asking how I would host the Python script. So I'm just getting through those details. I'm not going to go through all this. Oh, actually, this one I'm curious about. My next step on this is to have the bot always listening. So currently the setup is that the bot just kind of wakes up, that sends its message, goes back, like then disappears. It doesn't stay running and it's not listening. So next step is I want to figure out how to set it up so it's always listening. And so as I was thinking about that, I was wondering, hey, if this is a background service that is always running, does it cost a lot of computing resources? I was curious about that. So you can see this is just a very creative process. And again, I'm doing my chores as I'm doing this, which is good thinking time for me to be thinking about the responses. And then I'm just kind of, these I'm dictating one by one back into the app as I'm thinking about them. And then some more technical stuff, minimum permissions, blah, 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 blah. And then, then I also, as I was thinking it through, I thought of the idea of having 35 different hard-coded messages. That way it's not the same boring message every day. And then this is my description. Let me just read it. So additionally, I just thought of something else I would like. I would like to set up 35 different hard-coded messages so I could tweak the actual message that gets sent to make it more fun. Then the bot would cycle through those 35 messages, meaning that the person would get a different message every day of the month with a few extra. And you can see that didn't come out well. What I was trying to say there, like there's enough messages for every day of the month with a few extra messages as well. So it, you're not getting like the same message on the same day of every month is the idea. It would loop through the same messages the following month once it runs out of the 35 messages. Would that be best to do in an array variable in our environmental variables area, or could we set that up however you think best? So I'm just voice dictating some thoughts. All right, then it comes back and it starts going through my responses. This is interesting. On the 35 messages specifically, it says it's simplest to store them as a Python list in the source code. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, so you can tell here, this is totally a hobby thing, but hopefully what you're picking up here is that I'm starting to learn what it wants to do. First off, I learned that had no idea what a Discord bot was. What was the end result of when you quote build a Discord bot? I learned that right off the bat. Like it would prefer to write it in Python. So it's basically a Python application. So that I've learned that by doing this, right? And so I'm not like studying some course. I'm just trying to build something and learning a ton in the process. So here's a great example. Like I thought it was going to want me to store the 35 messages in an array variable. It prefers to do it just in a list in the source code, or if we want to be cleaner, a JSON file. So anyways, learning a lot of stuff here. So then it still launches into the spec. All right, not ready for that. So I scroll through that. And then I come back with responding to two things before we dive into the spec. That makes sense. So I had asked about if the bot where the bot lives essentially, and it has to be in the server, I learned. So my response, that makes sense, that the bot can't just live nebulously within the Discord ecosystem. It has to live in a specific server. I'm fine with putting the user in an environmental variable. It had suggested that. But can we make it an array or whatever format you think is best so I can add as many users as I want, and the message would get sent individually to each user? So as I'm thinking this through, I thought it would be nice if there could be multiple people that this bot sends messages to. For another example, in this case, just my nephew, but there could be another reason why I want a scheduled message to go out to a group of people, but not a group message, individual messages to each person. So I'm trying to explain that. Then second thing, I respond back regarding the 35 rotating messages. We can store them in whatever format you think is best. One additional thing that I just thought of is that it would be cool if it went through the 35 items randomly. So not like the same order every month, and then kept track somehow of which ones have been used so that it randomly goes through all 35 messages, all 35, before looping back to the same 35 messages and then randomly again. So you can see just me voice dictating, right? And not like super well thought out thoughts here. I'm like just speaking what's coming to mind and the best way that I can, not even evaluating the output of the Whisper app, but just hitting send back into ChatGPT. So then I scroll through the results. On the multiple users, it's like, yeah, no problem. We would just do a comma delimited list. So each one of these numbers is a Discord user. That's the format that Discord uses. And actually, let me show you that in case anyone's curious about that. Like if you open up a user in Discord, it's a real pain for me to figure out how to do this every time. Give me a second. Here we go, open in mod view. And then right here. So this is the ID of the user. So if I copy that, Let me just paste that like in a new tab. So there's the, hopefully I didn't just do something that violates security, but that's the number of the Discord bot user. So every user in Discord has this same length of some big, long, unique identifier. So set that up. Yep, no problem. We can do that. Blah, blah, blah. Keep going. And again, you know, this is on my Saturday morning. I'm just kind of skimming through the responses. When it's asking me a series of questions, I'm paying more attention to that. But I'm not reading everything that it sends back. I guess that's my main point. Oh, yeah. One of the things that it asked is, should each user get a different message? And so I liked option A, all users receive the same message. Then I say, one additional thing, I share your concern about a long-running Python script, even though the impact on CPU and RAM is negligible. It's because that was one thing I was curious about. Sounds like I could have a listening bot out there without consuming a lot of computing resources. But I did like the idea, for now, not having a long-running script. Could we instead have this be a cron job? So a cron job is basically a way to schedule an app to run on a nightly basis, weekly basis, whatever, similar to scheduling a business event to run in Acumatica. So could we have it be a cron job so that the schedule would be determined by this cron job, and the Python script would only run long enough to send the message for that day? You would just need to figure out how to persist how many of the 35 messages have been used, so the randomized logic doesn't reuse a message until it runs out of all 35 messages. I'm not sure if I described that well, but by persist, I mean the Python script, when it runs, it's not aware of what it did last time it ran. So I need some way to know how many of the 35 messages have been used so they don't get reused the next run. I want to go through all 35 messages before I cycle back through. That's what I was trying to say there. All right, so it's like, yes, no problem, blah, blah, blah. Then it still jumps into the spec. You can see how eager it is. I think it's so interesting. Then I come back with, oh yeah, it was still talking about time zones. I say, I don't think we need to build any time zone logic into the Python script. I will handle that all in the scheduling of the cron job. I like your randomized 35 message logic. Let's go with that. So I felt like, all right, the approach it wants to use makes sense. It got what I was trying to do there. Number 3, I like your logic about marking a message used only if a message is sent successfully. So it's thinking about error handling, which I just don't think about as a non-developer. So great, do what you want to do there. And then last, do you have, oh, now I'm finally ready. So do you have what you need to build the Claude prompt now? If so, please proceed. Prompt is the word I was looking for earlier. So, you know, when you type something back in an AI, people call this a prompt. So whatever you type into the Claude chat or the AI chat. So of course, now it's ready. Yes, finally I get to give you the prompt. So here it goes, and it puts a line. And so all I did, and so at this point, I'm done with my phone. And now I do have to sit down at the computer. But most of the time, and even though this live broadcast has now been going for an hour and 15 minutes, I'm taking longer to explain what I did than it took me to actually do it. The entire amount of time that it took was about an hour. And that includes all the rest of the stuff that I'm going to show. So most of it, though, was me while I was doing my chores and talking with ChatGPT through the Whisper app, because I'm thinking about things. I think it's the design part of it, right? Now we're getting to the execution part, and that part was just super fast. So all I then did, so this part though, I did sit down on my computer to do. So all I did was I highlight all of this. I don't even read it. I just highlight. I'm like, ChatGPT has a pretty good idea of what I want now, and all the way up to here. And then for some reason, it gave me a slighter, shorter version, but I'm thinking I want the longer version. So I just highlighted all that. And then let's make sure here. Let's see, build me a private self-hosted Python script. Let's now flip over to Claude. So here's the session that I have with Claude. And yeah, that's not what it started with. Let's see. So 1 second. That might not be what I sent to it. Let's scroll down further. So my response is, sounds good, will do. Should I paste this into Claude Chat or Claude Code? So within the Claude app, there's now this co-work thing. Well, let's start with there's the chat, which is like the chat window we're looking at in ChatGPT. That's you send a message, it replies back, you reply, you just have a chat. Code allows you to connect the chat window to an actual folder. And here, let me show you what that looks like. So here. So you can see I actually have this connected to this folder. And what that allows it to do is it can actually create files, Python scripts, etc., in that folder on your machine. So that's, to me, the advantage of code. It's more independent. It can, and here's where people are having it run for hours and build entire applications on its own. So it can actually, it has legs to go do something. Very limited, depending on what you want to allow it to do. Like there's a lot of security and permissions concerns, but in this case, super simple. It's just writing files back to my computer. Let me get back to this one. Okay, so that wasn't the right one that I pasted. So let's check again. Let's see. So it's telling me use Claude Code. And then Claude Co-work is sort of like in between the two. I haven't used that a lot yet, but Code I think is more for developers, although I'm not a developer. Co-work is kind of more for business people, I think. Have it go like it can open up Chrome and navigate a website for you. Anyways, there's all sorts of stuff going on with Claude right now. But it tells me use Claude Code. All right, good. And then it's even saying what it's going to end up creating in the folder is multiple files. So great. So yeah, I don't know what happened with the prompt here. Let's see. Oh, you know what I think? So I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, this is interesting. I still got what I wanted. That's what's so cool about this. Okay, so you can see this is what I thought I had pasted into Claude, starting with build me a private self-hosted Python script. But you can see right here, there's another line up here. So where did that come from? I think I actually mistakenly grabbed this version of it. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the line that says generate the full project files. Interesting. I don't know where that came from. See if I can just paste it all into Word and search it that way. Let's see what happens. Generate the full project files. Let's see if we can find that. Oh, okay. So it did suggest that I forgot that. It suggested that I put this line in the Claude chat. All right, that's where that came from. Okay. So that's why we have that line. Otherwise, I'm just pasting the spec. And then, so I pasted that in. I had Claude run. Let's see if we can see how long it took. I don't remember how long that took. This is definitely a situation where I was just like, I was doing other things that morning. So even then, when I got to sit at my desk, I sat at my desk for less than a minute, just enough to paste it in. And then I got up and walked away. I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I don't even know how long it took, but it didn't take, it probably took minutes. Definitely didn't take hours. And so Claude comes back and it creates the files. And so when it was done, what I thought was, another funny thing I thought about happened here. Where was it? Yeah. So at the very end here, ChatGPT comes back and says, if you'd like, oh, actually, it also said, after Claude generates the code, ask it, please review the script for edge cases and improve reliability without adding complexity. And ChatGPT is kind to Claude. It says Claude code is very good at self-review passes. So it recommended I do this. I didn't do that. I just skipped that. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And this is the funny part to me. It then says, if you'd like, once Claude generates the files, you can paste the Python script here, and I can do a quick audit for Discord API pitfalls. There are a couple small ones that sometimes sneak into AI-generated Discord scripts. So I just think it's funny because, first at the top, it was like, we need to generate a very super precise thing for Claude. It just sounds like it's treating it like a little brother. This is very much like an older sibling kind of an attitude. And then even here at the end, it's like, give me the results back so I can take a look at it. So I think it's funny. So yeah, so then I just take the file that Claude created. So Claude creates the file in my folder system. Let me see if I can pull that up. Here, let me not share my screen while I'm navigating. Give me a second here. Yeah, here we go. So I'm not a developer. I mean, I do have some programming background. I can do some light scripting, but I'm not a developer. I've always drawn the line at Visual Studio, never been willing to open that thing. It scares me. But, I know enough to know that I should have a folder for my source code. So I now have a folder called source code on my computer. I even had ChatGPT walk me through how to set up a GitHub repository, which is just a place to store your source code. Never wanted to do that before, but now that ChatGPT can just tell me what to do step by step, it was easy to do. So I have a folder for all my code now, and then here's the specific project I was working on. I have a folder for that. So you can see here's the files that it created. And, oh, that's interesting. The env, I'm going to have to go look at that. I know it's working, but it brought back the sendreminders.py. That's a Python file. That's where all the code lives. And all I did, actually, you know what? Let me unshare, make sure there's nothing sensitive in there. I don't think there is. I think all the sensitive stuff is stored in the .env file. Yeah, it is. So here, let's show the end result. Now this is the end result. Claude did make some tweaks, and I'll walk through that in a second. But if we open that up, I'm just going to open it in Notepad++. Claude wrote this whole thing, including, all the comments. I didn't touch any of this. And we haven't gotten to this part in the ChatGPT conversation yet, but here's where all 35 messages get hard-coded, and it's going to randomly select from there. But the end result is 322 lines of Python code. Like, this is essentially the Discord bot. It's a Python script. But I decided to go with ChatGPT's idea, and I just attached then that Python file back into ChatGPT. ChatGPT, it looks like, again, I would do it, then walk away, go keep working on my chores. 5 minutes later, it comes back, it audits it, it tells me what it thinks about it, and then what did I do after that? did I? So it gives me a bunch of thoughts. Did I just copy and paste them? Okay, here's all of its thoughts. Let's check Claude now. My verdict. I think I did. So I think I just cut. See, it's exactly the text. My verdict, good first version, but I'd want 5 changes before trusting it in production. The good parts, etc. Yeah, yeah. I just copied and pasted the entire thing with ChatGPT. So I'm using AI to talk to AI. And what did I end with? I consider send phase strategy later. I'm wondering where I stopped it. This doesn't look like the full text here. So it doesn't make sense. Like ChatGPT is talking to me, right? So, but I just copied and pasted. I was totally running out of patience and just wanted a Discord bot at this point. So I think I just copied and pasted. So where's fifth? Yeah, fifth issue right here. This line works, blah, blah, blah. Smaller improvements, did I include those too? Yep, smaller improvements. Oh, did it even? I don't know what it did about the code. Anyways, yeah, I just copied and pasted, it looks like. The script is fine as is. Just curious where I stopped. Yeah, then I stopped right here. So I didn't include the architectural note that ChatGPT came back. But yeah, it was just a copy and paste back into Claude. So then Claude does some stuff. It works on it again. Can I see? I'm curious to see how long it took. I guess it doesn't show me. But again, got up, walked away. Claude says some stuff back. I don't even look at it. Yeah, and at this point, Claude's done. I was done using Claude at this point. So it then produced it. What's cool is it can not only create new files, but it'll go look at a file and make changes to it, which is important for that context window thing that I talked about earlier, because it needs it starts to hallucinate after you've done too much stuff, right? So like it works on your code, and then if it's been working for too long, it's sort of like it needs a break. So you just like close it out, but then later it can come back, look at all the stuff that was made, kind of with a fresh pair of eyes. But it has everything to do with the context and how much stuff it can hold in its memory. But anyways, point is, like, it's not just creating a new file. It can go back and make changes to existing stuff. So that's what it did. It modified the file. So then all I did back in ChatGPT is I attached the same Python script again, and I answered one of the questions that it asked. So I asked it to do another audit, and it comes back, yes, this version is meaningfully better. My verdict, now this is good enough to deploy for a simple personal cron job. The earlier reliability issues I flagged were mostly addressed. I still see 2 real things I'd consider changing, and 1 is minor, but I was like done at this point. I'm like, it's good enough. So I just skipped all that. So I respond, let's proceed with what we have for now. Now, can you help me with getting it running? Assume that I need to just simply upload it into a folder on a2hosting.com. Then can you help me with the cron job and how I get the Discord API key and whatever else you think I need to get it running? So I've now got my Python script, and I'm not going to go through this, but this is now me just going back and forth with ChatGPT to figure out how to get the thing running on my website. And let's see where, yeah, I ran into some errors, and I don't know if you're using ChatGPT this way, but one thing I've been found, it's just makes it super pleasant to work with, is that I just paste screenshots. Like I try what it gave me, and then I just give it this screenshot, take a screenshot. Like it asks me, what version is it? I don't even type it back in. I just take a screenshot and it figures it out. Okay, you have Python 3.8, 3.68, whatever. And so a lot of this communication was me just doing what it told me to do on my web server and then pasting the results back here. So basically it's doing the work. I'm just sort of, for security reasons, middleman on this. And this is where agents, when people talk about AI agents, this back and forth that I'm doing here in a chat window, a lot of people now have got comfortable with AI where they just give it the security it needs to go do the stuff wherever. I'm not quite there yet, but this is a very pretty quick process to get it working. So this is just me getting it working on my website, etc., etc. I had to set up the Python app. So this looks like a lot of stuff, but again, not a lot of stuff. This entire process took me less time than it's taking me to explain it in the real world. And again, I'm not reading most of its responses. It's like I'll read it's like reading an email. I'll read the first couple paragraphs and get the gist, and then I just respond after that. So you can see just more and more. Is this good? What do you want me to do? And now how do I confirm that it's there? I then had to invite the bot to the server, and then boom, end of the day, that worked. This is so cool. It works great. So we finally got it working. And then I forgot about the cron. So we got it sending a message, and then the cron was setting up the schedule. So I responded back, actually, I forgot about the cron part. Can you help me with that? And it gives me what I need. I don't even think I responded after that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I didn't even respond. Like whatever it gave me back, I was able to put it in the cron area of my website. Boom, done. Got to the end of my ChatGPT conversation. We already saw the end of the Claude conversation, and bringing it back here. That was the technique. So most of the conversation happened in ChatGPT. I then pasted stuff in Claude to actually do the coding, but it was a really cool experience. Happens on a Saturday morning. Takes only about an hour end to end. Never knew anything about how to do a Discord bot. I forgot that I didn't even know that it was going to want Python code. I had no idea. So really, like when I started this, I didn't think I was going to have a Discord bot an hour later. I was just starting to think about it while I was doing some chores. And I was just shocked that I've now, within about an hour, I had a Discord bot sending me a message in a Discord server. So really cool experience. And for a non-developer like me, again, that's why I tried to say up front, for a real developer person, I don't think you're going to find this that interesting. But for a non-developer like me, to go through this experience on a Saturday morning where I'm not shackled on my computer, I'm just dictating into my phone while I'm working on something else, and actually have a finished product in about an hour, that was a really cool experience. And this technique of using ChatGPT for the creative design part of it and Claude for the doer, I'm going to just go with that for now. I've used this technique now already multiple times this week to build some actual work things. And it's been a really cool experience. So that's where I'm at right now with AI. I'm trying to think anything else that I wanted to cover in this. This was a total marathon Saturday morning podcast episode here, but I wanted to get it out there while like the enthusiasm was fresh in my head. Anything else? No, I think that was it. But again, it was more about, I think, the emotional side of this, just the pleasant experience that it was, and just kind of documenting my AI journey here. Only been headfirst into it since 2 months ago in January, which is crazy. And again, that Nate B. Jones guy, he's just got a great YouTube channel. I paid the $200 for his Substack. That's $200 for the year. But honestly, I haven't used it. I've just been watching the YouTube videos because I'm having enough challenge keeping up with those. And so like that's all free on his YouTube channel. I will put that link on the episode page at put that up there again, augforums.com/episode 166. That's today's episode number. So that'll have that link. It'll also have the Peter Steinberger 3-hour interview, which just so many interesting things that he says. Oh yeah, also for him, I don't forget if I mentioned this already, he built OpenClaw by dictation. So I think, I don't remember this part for sure, but I think a lot of it also happened on his phone for him as well. And so you're not shackled to the desk. I don't remember him talking about, like, was he even indoors the whole time? That would be interesting to find out. Like, I love being outside and being able to now essentially build apps while you're outside walking around is a really cool experience to me. But anyways, yeah, he talks a lot about the fun side of it, keeping it like a hobby side. So those two things together will be on the episode page. Also, the Whisper voice dictation app that I've been using will be there as well. And yeah, just wanted to capture this while the enthusiasm is fresh, because most of my time the past 2 months has been just digesting Nate's videos and just learning generally about how AI works in general. It's moving so fast. This was my first experience last week doing something beyond just using ChatGPT for a Google search, essentially. You know, like, it's the new Google basically. So you can ask it, learn about stuff. But this is the first time I actually had it build something for me. I'm fact checking myself on that real quick. Pretty sure. Yeah, I hadn't had it build anything for me. And so it's pretty crazy to have something in an hour. So trying to get that enthusiasm across, record it here a week later on a Saturday morning, because I'm sure, based off what I've already done using this technique, using this week, a month from now, like, I'm going to be in a totally different place. And it's difficult, I think, to be able to think back what things were like when you were first using it. And that's why I wanted to capture this for anyone else out there who feels like, yeah, maybe I could build stuff as well. I wanted to get this captured, how I did it, those details, and just again, just the cool experience that it was. It was just a really neat experience. And yeah, just looking forward to building some more interesting things. But otherwise, I think that's it for today. So that'll wrap it up. Hour and 37 minutes into it. I don't know if anyone watches, but I got it captured, and I'm sure there will be more AI related episodes in the future. Oh, yeah. So there's something I remembered. Back to the Acumatica tie-in. So come back here to Acumatica. So I mentioned, I didn't show it in Acumatica. I showed it in the release notes. So let me pull it up in Acumatica, make sure it's there. I mentioned that in my lowly test environment that has no license, I don't have access to the chat bot thing. That makes sense to me. But I did mention right down here, this maximum number of AI units per month. Let's see what the help says on this. Oh, no, that's different. Maximum number of AI assistant tokens. Yeah, so it actually doesn't show up in my environment, probably because the license is not there. All right, so I'll use the screenshot from the release notes. So this tokens per month, this does seem funny to me. So I don't know what pricing is like. I haven't looked into that, but it does seem funny to me that, at least for where it's at right now, this AI assistant that's just reading generic inquiry data, like, I don't know why I need to pay for that. So what I'm curious is, so I guess I'm just getting this on the record and we'll see how this plays out this year. To me, I don't see why I wouldn't just build a generic inquiry that I'm pulling up here, that pulls all the generic inquiries that are exposed to AI assistant and then also pull in those 3 areas on the parameters, the description for AI, on the results grid, the description for AI, and the overall AI description here. Like, just create a generic inquiry that pulls all that information together and feed that into Claude. So Claude could still have access to the same information, and then also build something that allows Claude to go execute a generic inquiry, because that's also just over an API, and do your whole AI assistant within Claude. Like, at least for a power user, I think that would work fine. You're just not, I guess maybe you just don't have the security context of, I'm thinking this through on the fly. I guess if you use the AI assistant within Acumatica, it's using regular Acumatica security. And then it probably, I don't know this for sure. Let's see if the release notes tell us. It probably only lets you access the specific data that your user can access. So if you have row level security in place, it's probably respecting that. Let's see. How can I find that? Then we're just going to have to read the release notes. We're already an hour and 41 minutes. What's another 10 minutes or so? Let's see if we can find this. Oh, this is interesting. It says by default, the most popular generic inquiries are used. That makes it seem like there are some checked by default. I'm just going to do a quick check on that. Now, it might not, I could totally see how it doesn't happen unless you get licensed for it, but I'm just curious, see what happens. That did remind me of another thought as well that I want to talk about. It's called Exposed AI Assistant. Oh, there are 33 generic inquiries that are checked out of the box to expose to the AI assistant. Okay, glad I caught that. I guess stock items just isn't one of them. Non-stock is, though. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, there are some. So PM projects, let's just make sure. Let's see if it has any of those description fields populated. Yeah, okay. So exposed to AI assistant is checked out of the box for PM-project generic inquiry. The AI description, though, is empty. On the results grid, let's see if there's any descriptions. Nope, empty. Parameters, no parameters. So that's interesting. Yeah, this is not surprising, right? This is a very initial version. And again, I think this is where the real magic is going to happen, what you feed in the description. I do think it's interesting, though, that the example they show in the release notes, oh, they do show CR campaigns. Where did I see? Yeah, the IN stock item. I think it's interesting. That's not even one of the out-of-the-box ones. That's interesting. All right. No, but again, not surprising. I'm not critiquing that at all. This is the initial launch. So back to the idea of, is this only showing us data that we have access to. I wonder. That's going to be really, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Because row level security, I think, is popular, especially in sales, where you only give salespeople access to their specific customers. And you wouldn't then want a salesperson to go into the AI assistant and be able to see data for other customers. So you'd want that to have the same restrictions that the UI has. But I don't know for sure if that's the case. My hunch is that it is. I'm just trying to think how that actually would work technology-wise. I don't know. So something I'm still learning, but this just launched a couple days ago. So I'll just stop trying to learn on the fly there about that. But it did remind me of one other thing. Now I got to remember what. So where I was going with that is, you could probably just feed the same info over to Claude and then not have to pay for the AI assistant, assuming it's expensive. I don't know how much it costs. But to me, that's the main thing you would lose, is if the AI assistant Acumatica only lets a particular user access a particular set of data. You would lose that. But I think it then comes back to the question, not come back, I haven't mentioned this yet. It comes then to the question of, are people really going to use AI assistants in the real world? Is this really an end user tool? And I'm still not sure about that. And it could, maybe the younger crowd uses it and the older crowd never does. It could be a generational thing. I don't know. I think we're still feeling that out. I definitely don't think that this chat approach becomes the default UI for everything. I'm not sold on that. And personally, I think all the major software companies are making that mistake. So I'm not on board with that. Like, if you look at, I think it's myoffice.com. Let me see if this does what I think it's going to do. Yeah. I had this experience. This is just one example. I think I've seen on LinkedIn, I'm not the only one who's frustrated by this. Let me show you this. So if I look at office.com, Microsoft Office, I used to come in here and just want to get to my OneDrive. This is how I would get there. I'd go to office.com, but now you'll see they're just throwing this Copilot chat interface in my face here. And I really don't care about this. I just want the link to get to my OneDrive folder. That's all I want. And I don't want to have to type it in. Like, give me the button. But they even took away the buttons. They used to have the buttons here. So now I have to go into apps, OneDrive. It's like it's hidden, right? And so I'm not sold on that part yet, where I don't think that, and I could be wrong. We'll see. I mean, it seems like they're all doing it. They're all throwing AI chat windows in our faces. And I like having them there. Like, I like them being a tool where I go reach for it. I'm just not sold that it becomes the primary way we communicate with computers, like, all the time. I could be wrong there, but here's my reasoning behind it is, when I'm driving a car and I want to know how fast I'm going, I don't want a voice interface for that. I don't want to have to keep saying, how fast am I going? And the car responds back 60 miles an hour. I just want to look at the dashboard and see the information, right? And this also goes to a story that I heard from a friend recently, who's like, really into AI and has been into it for years. He's way ahead of me. He's in the business intelligence space, so he focuses on data analytics. And he's been doing real world projects like with Fortune 500 companies where he's built natural language interfaces to their dashboards. So now they don't have to go to the dashboard. They just ask what they're looking for, and actually making that work in the real world. There's a lot that goes into it. I've learned a lot from him. But he's done it. Like he's doing these actual consulting projects to give executives a natural language interface to their company's data. And I love this story that he told me because he got this project built for someone, got it all hooked up, is able to answer all the questions that they're asking it. And after they do all of that, this executive then turns to him and says, you know what would be really helpful is if I just had a dashboard that has everything on it that I need. There's to me another example of just give me what I need. Give me the buttons, give me the visuals. I'm not just going to communicate with my computer with voice. I also just want to communicate. I still just want to click on some buttons. That is still a legitimate user interface. And I just feel like a lot of the software companies are overcorrecting by putting these chatbots in our face. I think buttons and UI, I think that stuff does matter when the AI hype dies down. And so why do I say all of that? I'm still just not sure from an end user perspective how much AI becomes an interface. I'm just not sure, just not totally sold. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the scary blank canvas. So if I pull up ChatGPT here, actually, no, let's stick with Office, this Office one. Let me put that back on the screen. Like, what can I help you with today? I can do anything. And that's overwhelming to me as a user. Like, I don't know what I want you to do. You tell me, just give me, and I do like it's got some buttons down here, right? But, just give me the 3 things I care about. Or, yeah, I don't know. This blank canvas, I think is I'm just not sold that it's what most computer users want. The builder crowd, totally different story. So, the project I just covered with the Discord bot is totally a builder creative type of a thing. That was totally a cool experience for me. And so where I'm going with this whole thing is, the AI assistant that's in Acumatica now, is it really an end user tool? Because if it's not, and if it's primarily a tool for the ERP analyst or the person who's building things that other people are going to consume, then I'm not sure that we really need to use the Acumatica's AI assistant. Like I described before, you can still use those AI description fields, but have Claude read that information and do it all in Claude without paying that license fee. So yeah, I'm just not sure. And then, yeah, there's a lot of technical things I could go into there. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm just not sold on chat interfaces as being an end user tool. I think of them as being more of a builder tool at this point. That's just where I'm at, but I'm only 2 months into this journey, so we'll see. I will also say, with the Discord bot thing, that super simple nightly scheduled message that goes out, the next thing that I want to add into that is now give me a way to respond. And I'm just thinking very simplistically about it. Then what I'd like to build next is not, you don't even get to do a natural language response, because then I have to get an LLM involved to parse that, and it's going to cost me tokens. I just want someone to be able to respond with maybe 3 different words, and maybe not even words, maybe letters. So then this goes to something that I've thought about for years, which is, all right, let me tell you the letter part that I'm thinking right now. So I think the logical next step for my remind you to do your grip exercises bot the next logical place to take it is give my nephew a way to respond, and then the bot records that in a database. And I played with this already. Like Claude could just create the database for you. It's pretty cool. You don't have to deal with all that. But at least record that the exercises got done that day. So then you can kind of assess how you're doing. Like how many days a month did you do your exercises, that kind of stuff, right? So then the question is, well, then how are you going to respond to that? Like, do you want this fancy natural language processing capability where you can type whatever you want? I did my exercises, or exercises done for the day. I can do all sorts of variations on responding back to you, and you figure it out. You parse through all those responses, and you know to record that the exercises got done. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I'd rather just have, I'm even thinking not words, but letters, like D. Maybe you type the letter D for done, you hit enter, and the Discord bot records that they're done. And if you type anything that's not legitimate, so like it might be D for done, it might be T for tell, like, or H for history. Give me a history of what you've logged so far. So maybe it's just those two. If you type anything but those two things, like if your entire message back to the bot is not the letter D or the letter H for history, then the bot would simply respond with, I can only understand these things. So like if you don't remember what it understands, just type in a big blob of text, hit enter, and it responds back, I only understand these things. D means done, and and it tells you what it's going to do if you respond back with D, and H means history. I'll give you a history of your responses. Maybe M is what percentage of days I've done. You know, I could add some stuff in, but it's going to respond with what those key things are that it does for you, so you don't have to remember it all, right? This is the interface I'm working towards for now. I like that. It's simple. I don't know that I need the fancy natural language understanding in that situation. I think it's almost like I'd prefer the dumber version of it. I could be in the minority there, but that's where I'm thinking currently. And the part that I've thought about for years is IBM AS400 system kind of things versus fancy looking graphical user interface systems. And I have two reasons why I've thought about this. One is my own mother and the way she's talked about this to me. I was shocked because she's not a technical person. She's very much a social person, and she worked in schools, and she remembers before Microsoft Word, she actually used the VI editor in Linux. So I think we had this conversation back when I was in college, because I was learning Linux and I learned the VI editor. It's all text keyboard commands, right? So here's my mom, who's not a technical person, not a computer person, a people person. And she actually told me that she preferred the VI editor to the Microsoft Word editor because she didn't have to leave the keyboard. And she learned the commands, and she didn't, it just seems so weird to her to have to keep reaching for the mouse in Word. And that was really interesting conversation, because just knowing my mom's not a geeky computer person, that she actually preferred that. And then another thing that I've thought about is when I go into Costco. Costco is really good at streamlining things, and they've just done a really good job at process. And if you look at the machines that their employees are using, I'm pretty sure they're IBM AS400 machines. It's those green screen kind of machines. So they're not doing a lot of clicking. It's just keystrokes, right? And so my point with both those examples is I don't know how much of these fancy GUI interfaces are really something that humans like, or it's just been something that the software companies have sold us on. I'm just not sure. And so same thing with the chat interface. I'm just not sure how much this natural language chat thing that's being thrown in our faces is really what we want versus what we're being told we need. And so all that, I guess, is to say that The new AI assistant in Acumatica, interesting, definitely going to be playing with it. I'm just not sold on it being an end user interface. It could be primarily an interface for people who are building things. But we'll find out. They'll have the telemetry on that. We'll be able to see what kind of usage people are getting out of it over the coming years. But regardless, either way, hopefully this Discord project that I worked on and the experience of ChatGPT and Claude and just this whole world of how AIs understand markdown formats, that's hugely important for knowing what to put in those AI description fields in Acumatica. So hopefully some of this at least is helpful. And as we're all entering this world of chatbots together, agents is a whole nother ball game, letting them work for hours at a time on their own. The technology is here. It's not a futuristic thing anymore. We're all kind of, it's like surfing the wave. We're just trying to stay on the wave, not get too far in front of it, and then get slammed by it, and then also not let it go by us, and then we miss out. Just trying to stay right on it and learn together. And so that's why I wanted to capture this all in an episode, and probably doing more AI episodes in the future. So here we are at over 2 hours. I'll end it here, and I will catch you next time.